welcome to this video. So I'm once again on the ferry here, Normandy. Just left Portsmouth, gone past Queen Elizabeth carriers and all that lot, and I'm heading back to France again. Hello, welcome to this video about my boat Pipe Dream. I designed and built Pipe Dream a few years ago out of this cooling tower from a Welsh hospital, and got it delivered to a barn and had to set about trying to figure out how I was going to build it into a boat. Now, after several years of use, I've been carrying out a rather large refit and also trying to complete some modifications that I've wanted to do for some time now. Once complete, I'm hoping that time and money will allow me to get out to sea and do a nice large trip on the wonderful ocean. So back in August, I took the boat out to sea. I gave her a good run, relatively good run. The first time I went out to sea, I got caught in this hideous thunderstorm that was just not funny. As I was heading out, I just sort of saw this big black cloud coming towards me, and I thought, oh my god. And then I thought, well, I'll just carry on and see how it goes. I was waiting for an update on the weather forecast on Predict Wind. And it got to within about 3 minutes of the update of the forecast, and the rain, just tipped down on me. The wind picked up, and I suddenly just and headed back into Arzal. And yeah, it was about 50, I think someone said about 49, 50 knots of wind over the space of about 3 or 4 hours, and I was in most of that, trying to head my way back up the river and more up. I had to leave the engines pretty much in full reverse to get out and tie the ropes up, and I was utterly soaked. It was not the most funnest experience, that's for sure. Having said that, the nice thing about going to sea is it's just one of those things. Whenever you head out to sea, something always happens. Most of the time it's something slightly bad, for me anyway, but there's always something that then forms a memory and a little story that you have for the rest of your life to look back on. Whereas normal life, you can go through weeks and months of your life, even years of your life, without encountering anything particularly sort of exciting or different. So the nice thing is about sea is it always gives you something. You might not quite want what you get, but it always gives you something. Anyway, it was a fairly good test though. Anyhow, the next day I went out to sea. I gave her a good run under sail, and she performed quite well. I noticed the catamaran was slightly faster than me, but then again, that's not terribly surprising because I don't really know how to sail. I mean, after all these years, I still haven't quite nailed it. And of course, I'm running a much heavier boat, and there's a whole multitude of reasons why I shouldn't be able to keep up. But yeah, no, she ran quite well. I did some nice tacking. Got to just get the feel of the boat again after the latest changes, and yeah, it was good. So this trip I'm off again, and what I'm going to be doing is, I noticed that when I put the outrigger keels on, I got a slight change in the wave pattern, a slight change in the performance. Whereas before, my speed graph, as you increase the speed on the engines, my speed graph would sort of jump like this up. With the outrigger keels, I'd managed to smooth that, and instead of having this almost like power band where the wave comes and careens off one part of the boat and fills in another part and gets running that bit faster. I've managed to smooth that out. It dropped off the top end, maybe 0.2 of it, not really very measurable, but definitely something dropped down. So that was a good side, but on the other hand, there was a fair bit of turbulence that had basically allowed it to flatten out the curve. Where I get a build-up of water that hits the rear of the outrigger, I'm going to slightly concave the outrigger at that point to give it a little bit more space. And also at the moment, if you've got the side of the outrigger, the wave comes up and it's coming up to this fairly sort of rounded shape. By concaving it in, I give it a little bit more space, not that that's relevant, but it's then concaving and it's more likely to rebound nicely out in a much better pattern, because at the moment it's rebounding off that shape and coming back quite sharp across and hitting a pole and getting me wet when I'm at sea. That's the other thing I've got to do. I've got to fix the scupper holes, just put a cover over them. So that's the sort of 2-3 jobs that I'm hoping to do on this trip. not entirely sure how logical this idea is. And I thought I was going to be doing it to the other side, but lockdown struck. And tomorrow we completely lock down in France. I don't really think I should take the chance of cutting a massive hole in the other side in these present circumstances. The idea is I'm getting a pile of water about here on the bow wave, and the front of the new keels are chucking, also adding a little bit, but the pile of water was always here. So my idea basically was that I give it this channel to run in, and I was going to continue it to the end, but I've got a slight bulge out, curve around the end, which I think is okay, because that will, I'm hoping it will aim the wave round to the stern. Maybe it's a stupid idea, I don't know. Here's a deck repair I have to do. Basically I had a load of rust in this corner because I can't get to it from above anymore. Can't see, but there's a box up there. So I just cut the old steel piece out here, welded a new piece of stainless here. It's a nightmare trying to weld overhead. The problem of welding thin plate like this is, yeah, sometimes it just goes through. Particularly here, it's not the best place to work in. You're overhead, so the welder's trying to burn a hole and push through, and then the metal obviously is trying to drop back out. So it's a bit of a nightmare. If you're doing downhand, that would be easy. I bothered to walk to the car to get a hammer now. Gotcha. And here is the lovely job for today. Because I forgot or didn't have time to paint that little bit there. Yeah, it's all gone horrible and rusty there. It's not as bad as it looks, luckily. Most of that's actually sort of surface. Some of it's still clean steel, you can't quite see there. But as this is in my place where I'm living, it's a little bit annoying. So I've got my big vent fan here, which pulls, what's that, 65 cubic meters a minute. I can suck all the dust out as I'm working, or most of it, which should mean that I shouldn't have too much problems in here. I shouldn't have to do too much cleaning up tonight. With this cleaning up, so what I like to do, or the best way to do it is shot blast, obviously, but I can't hardly do that in here. So what I've done is I've used my trusty old grinder disc, which is not too bad to use in there. Then when I've done the grinder as best I can, then I move on to this wire brush, which got away from me for a minute there, and did a jaloping jalopy sort of thing around the box. But then for the corners that you can't get into, and I went to this attachment on the drill, this wire brush, and yeah, that seems to have done it good enough. The Jotun will be quite happy sticking onto that. Jotun's surface tolerant, but people who say you paint on rust, it's no, it can deal with surfaces that aren't perfect, but obviously the better you make it, the better the finish and the better the longevity of the job. This should be fine. I mean, it's inside, it's going to have 4 coats of Jotun, and I've got pretty much down to a good surface all the way around, so I should be fine on this. It's me. God, get a bit confused with these phones. I just pressed the button and thought, damn, I'm an old man. And realised I got so bloody old. I never look in the mirror, you see, so yeah, I never comb my hair or anything. Every so often I sort of go to the barber or hairdresser or something, and they ask me to look in the mirror, and I'm like, who the hell's that? Anyhow, it's come to the end of the trip, so I'm just packing up at the moment. I finished off the mod on the rear of the outrigger and just managed to get it painted, although it was raining on it about 3 hours afterwards, and Jotun doesn't mind it too much, but I seem to have got away with it. It just marks it, and then you're probably best sanding it a little bit and putting a no coat on at some point. But no, it hasn't done that, so it's okay. And I've finished off the deck repair, which was a nightmare because the welder kicked back on me and it burnt my arm up here, and then it ran down my sleeve and it burnt me down my sort of arm and places down here, and then it ran into my glove and it burnt my hand. So I was running around shaking my hand like this, swearing, and trying to get my glove off. Yeah, anyhow, so I've done that. I mean, I'm not terribly happy with the outrigger modification. I say I'm not. It looks cool. It looks like somewhere where like a little mini submarine attaches, or you slot in your special surfboard or something. A pretty small surfboard. And it's a nice shape, but it's a bit off the wall. So I'm going to test it in April and see how it goes. And if it runs well, and I've got the performance data, I can define any difference in speed down to around about 0.1, 0.2 knot accuracy. I can also obviously look at the wave patterns because I've got the before wave pattern. I can use the other side because I haven't done the other side. So I can judge any differences and see if it's worth doing, because it's about 3.5 days worth of work, and it's not terribly difficult, but it's just a struggle. It's annoying. So I'll see how it goes, and then make a decision next year. But the other bits I've done are good. I've got a nice radio now that's got Bluetooth, and I can listen to the laptop, which is great. So I'm watching a film on the laptop and it's coming through the boat, and it's almost like surround sound, it's quite cool. Yeah, lockdown hasn't annoyed me too much. It didn't make a lot of difference to me. But I've got an attestation form which I have to sign before I get in the car and go back. So if I'm stopped, it's €135 fine. You're only allowed to go 1 kilometre away from your house for exercise. That's about 0.62 miles, something. 0.62 miles. If I had bad wind, I could travel further. I mean, it seems very, 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 very close to me. But so yeah, that's pretty much my trip done. It's been a difficult one. Sometimes I enjoy these trips, but sometimes I don't mind them. And they've got nice little bits to them. It's a bit like going to sea. Something's going to happen, and you're going to have a change because of it. You're going to have some sort of memories, something probably to complain about. But nevertheless, you're going to have something, and you're going to hopefully get further on down the path. But this one was quite difficult with all the rain. It was just raining every other day, and it was just and stormy wind all the time, which blew dust in my eyes. So I spent last night with a piece of metal dust here, and I could feel it here. It woke me up about 2 a.m, and I could sort of feel it tracking across my eyeball. And I think it's gone now, so it should be okay. But yeah, but that's me done. So thanks for watching the video, and hope there's been a couple of interesting bits in it anyway. And should you ever decide to build a boat, don't buy one. It's a bloody lot easier. You don't want to do it. No.